Check it out guys, Simon here, and I'm back with my video response to episode 262. And just in time to top off October with 3 episodes. That's fantastic. And another great episode guys, really enjoyed it this time. And another interview from Larry. Larry did the rounds, didn't he, with that Larry on Larry action there, with Larry Fishman. So yeah, cool stuff. Listened to it this morning on the ride into work, and you know what happens? Sometimes I don't listen to it straight away when I leave the house. It's a bit of a commute to get to the old CBD, and sometimes when I'm almost at work and I'm like, oh, but there's 10 minutes to go, I'll just say, oh, the train was late. So sometimes I sit in the train station and listen to the SixStringBliss episode, the end of it. But don't tell my boss that. So anyway, let's get to the first topic, guys. Let's talk about a good ass kicking. There's nothing quite like a good ass kicking, in my personal opinion. And if you want your ass kicked, there's nothing like working out. So I'm not exactly a fit individual. So PT and pipes, I completely understand. However, when I was younger, I used to be stick skinny. I could eat whatever the hell I wanted to. I used to binge drink all the time. Never ever put on weight. No, but one thing did change. I always had sort of physical jobs when I was younger, a lot of lifting. And then when I finally got a few more sort of skills and that sort of thing, and I went into the business environment, sort of white-collar environment, you could say, because I wasn't moving, I was sitting at a desk, I put on a fair amount of weight quite quickly. It wasn't anything noticeable, but my pants were tighter and things like that. So, which was a real shame. You know, real shame. Because when you lift, before when I was doing physical work, when you lift, you don't have to go to the gym. You instantly get muscles and things like that. So, but anyway, not good for your back and not good for the long term. And generally, you get paid more when you seem to push a pen or a keyboard rather than lift a box. So, I've seen that show, Ninja Warrior. I've seen the Japanese version, and that is some hardcore obstacle course. There used to be a similar thing in Australia called gladiators, and they'd literally have these like massive men and women, if you can call them women, with muscles instead of breasts. And you'd have to run a gauntlet, but you would have to use them, you have to get past obstacles, and these gladiators holding these like huge sort of long sticks with big, look like punching bags on either side, you're trying to knock you off and things like that. I certainly didn't have the balls to do anything like that, or the stamina, but it's interesting show. So I know the Ninja Warrior show, and it's quite intense. And if the hosts are going to do something like that, I will pay good money to see that. I would like to see, not that I like to see people in pain, but when it's people you know, all the better. It's a lot more fun. So yeah, pretty cool stuff. But yeah, not anymore, not that I'm sort of working at the moment, and when I had a different job, I am not a tall person. I'm like 5'7.5", if that, just 5, sort of exactly on 5'8" or a little bit underneath it. And I was weighing up to 85, 86 kilos, which is kind of heavy for me. So I thought to myself, I'm going to work out. Forget this, I'm going to go for a run. There's like a bicycle/walking track not too far from here. So I got a friend of mine who was like, dude, we're going to lose some weight. Let's get rid of these guts. Let's get back to where we used to be with 6-packs and that sort of thing. So it's like, all right. So every day after work, we got our Powerade and we went for a run. And the first couple of times, we did it in summer in the heat. Oh my God. The pain of it. And we just looked at each other like, why are we doing this? But we kept it up for a couple of months, and he quit, so then I just started basically walking. And then when I was out of work, I was going on 10 to 15 kilometer walks every day. Not a door-to-door, like a fast-paced walk. Sort of kill the time too, in between looking for jobs. And then sometimes I do 20Ks, and that made a really big difference. I dropped a belt size really quickly, and I was losing more weight. I felt better. I wasn't tired anymore. Probably because I wasn't working, but yeah, so, you know, but yeah, that could happen again soon. But Yeah, I think the main thing is you got to be consistent. You got to be consistent, consistent, consistent. It's like playing a guitar. If you're not consistent with your chops, you'll lose them. Which is what's happened to me. You just got to keep at it. You know, no matter how boring you think it is, you know, mix it up, change it up a little bit. Same thing. If you're just going for a walk, you're just playing the same old scales. Change it up, play a different scale, play a different run, do a different exercise. And that's what will sort of keep you motivated as well. But like you guys are saying, if you have a buddy that's sort of like, you know, did you work out today? What did you do? And you know, I went there and I did this exercise and I noticed a difference. Now I feel it here and I feel that I've worked out. That's what you need, the motivation of someone else. It's like having a guitar teacher as well. There are a lot of people that can teach themselves, but some people, especially like me, you know, you need that mentor. You need someone to help you. You need someone to guide you. Even if they're not really teaching you anything, you need someone to sort of, how can I say this? You need someone to impress. You need something to work. You need a person to support you and help you work towards things. That's what you need. So guys, best of luck with that. There's one thing I would like to do, one day if ever that fit. In Australia it's called Tough Mudder. Let me just throw in a clip. So yeah, Tough Mudder is a pretty intense obstacle course that you do in the mud. The people that do it range from fit to whatever the hell they are, where they're unfit. Some of the women in there got a lot of muscles like men, but that's something that I wouldn't mind doing. And yeah, one day I'm going to do it. One day I'll bite the bullet and I'll do the Tough Mudder when I'm ever that fit to do it. But anyway, understand. Back to the guitar stuff, guys. So what's next on my little list here? It is... I should really be more prepared with these video things. But anyway. So next on the list we have the PT and one guitar, one amp again. This has got a lot of interest through the forums and everybody there. And we're talking about it again. Second episode in a row. It's a pretty big decision. There's something that Jan wrote on the forum. And I agree with it 100% as well. Although I do admit that, you know, high-end guitars do play really, really well and really nice. Whether they're set up better, whether there's a little bit more attention to detail in certain parts, who knows? But you don't necessarily need to get a high-end guitar, and it comes down to whether you can afford it, whether you like that type of thing, whether you want something you're going to worry about too. Because if you have an $8,000, $10,000 guitar, you may worry about where you're going to leave it, if you're going to put it down the wrong place and that sort of thing, mix cracks, anything like that. But as long as you have the guitar that you're happy with. So I don't have high-end guitars. Yeah, the only high-end guitar I have is my Benford guitar. The other ones I play, now in Australia they're not cheap, but everywhere else in the world they are. My acoustic guitar was $500, and in the States you can get it for I think $200. One of my Ibanez RGs was $600 here, or $650 here, at a discounted price. But in the States I've seen it for $299 on Sweetwater. My other Ibanez, which is a rare sort of Ibanez RGT, it's a neck through construction, which you see more these days, but when I bought it they didn't have very many. That is a what did I pay for that thing? $1,000 even. And in the States, I've seen them, I think I've seen them for about $600, $650 or something like that. So I don't play very expensive guitars, you know, apart from my Benford, but I'm not going to tell anybody how much that costs. So, but if you're looking for a custom-made guitar, look at Benford guitars. Best guitar I've ever played. So, yeah, but it's all depends on what you want out of the guitar and whether you can live with it. And like you were saying with the Variax, is that cheating? Because it's not really one guitar. Physically it is, but electronically it's many guitars, so it's going to cover a lot of bases. It kind of reminds me when you have, and say, for me, one thing that I did which I made a mistake with, but I don't really regret it because I learned a lot from it. However, I owned 2 Line 6 Spider amps. I know, stop cringing, people. Both broke down several times. Anyway, within the 3 months, less than that, actually within 2 months of owning them. So, and they sit in my room. They don't move or anything. Got a lot of clean power and that sort of stuff. But the reason I went that way, when I was going from sort of practice amp to something bigger and better, I had a train of thought where, okay, I can go out and buy many pedals, many effects, and a nice, good solid amp. Or, you know, I can go out and buy one of these new digital amplifiers with built-in effects, built-in amp models, and have everything in the one. You know, like Line 6 do with the Variax guitar. However, we all know the Spiders, they don't quite cut it. They're pretty good. Like, I think, you know, for what they do, there's a lot going on, and if it's just for the bedroom, man, it's fantastic. It's only when you start getting picky and your ear develops, and you're like, you know what, that doesn't sound better than the valve amp I played the other day. So, or that doesn't sound better than the amp modelers that you get for free, VST plugins that I played the other day. So I tried to do it that way. But what I found was, when you have something like one of those, like a Variax, I guess, or an array of amp models to choose from, you do not spend as much time dialing in that perfect tone. You just flip through the different type of models till something sort of comes to what you want, and then you twiddle a little bit from there. But when you have just one amplifier that does, you know, basically sort of one or two things, and you can get a lot of tones out of it, but you've got to spend a lot of time tweaking the knobs, you know, playing with how much input gain you're putting in from your effects and your guitar and that sort of thing. And what I think is it really, really makes you a much, much better, maybe not a better player, but it trains your ear and your mind to know what sounds you want more, which is why I don't think a Variax is a good idea if that's the route you want to go, just one guitar. Personally, for me, I would rather just get a nice, best I can afford, what I want guitar with you know, whatever pickups and that sort of thing, and go from there, rather than get that. So I understand what you mean with the Variax. It's kind of cheating, and yeah, I did a similar thing as well with the rack behind me, the TC Electronics G Major 2 rack. I did a similar thing with that, and the rack there, the reason I bought it was again to downsize in the amount of pedals I would have, because I was looking at building a pedal board with something like 15 pedals on it and so forth. Whether I use all of that is a different story, because I only really use maybe 3 effects at max at the most. And I bought that unit because it does all of your modulation, time-based effects, noise gate, EQ, boosts and that sort of thing, filters. It does all of that. It does not do distortions or overdrives whatsoever. And I bought it because I didn't want to have an array of pedals. But what I find I'm doing as well with that is just going through the presets, change them a little bit. I'm not really doing what I would do with an array of pedals, where I would really dial in those tones. Sort of similar, like if you have one guitar, you're really going to work at trying to get that tone with what you have, rather than saying, I've got a variety to choose from, so I'm going to just get the quickest and easiest thing I can, a good enough sound, and that's it. I'm not sure if that's how the rest of you guys sort of look at things, but that's what I was doing. I was getting really lazy, and I was just sort of like, yeah, this model will do, done, I'll just play. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, because then you play more rather than spend more time tuning in your perfect tone. But everyone's different. So, but yeah, I could go on about this topic for hours and hours, but like everyone else is saying, it's all about the individual. It's about what you feel you need, what you feel you want, and what you feel you can get by with. If you can get by with just one guitar and one amp, then by all means, do it. I've had the same train of thought, exact same train of thought. I've got 4 guitars now. I'm thinking about another one. Well, I do want another one. And yeah, I'd have to say, PT, if you were going to go for just one guitar, why not get a custom guitar? Why not get what you want, exactly what you want? So yeah, and yeah, letting go of gear is can be a bit painful sometimes. It can be very painful to have gear that you dare I say molest constantly every day. Nice guitar, and then you let it go to someone else. And you're like, I hope they take care of it properly. But that's life. I think if you're going to do it, just do it. Get rid of your gear. Get one that you want, or 2, one electric, one acoustic, whatever you feel you need, and go from there. That's what I think. And like I said, if I had a smaller place, I'd definitely do the same. Definitely. However, hanging guitars on the walls is really good space saver, and they're out there, so you can just pick them up. Because when they're in the case, you don't really play them that often. Well, I don't. I pick up the ones that are out of the case. No, it's silly because all we do is open the case. But anyway. So guys, on to the next topic. On to the next topic here. Let's see on my little list. What have I got here? The Matt Stevens and the Center Song. I really like his style. I really do. Really enjoy Matt Stevens and what he's got to offer. It's pretty cool stuff. Yeah, and I noticed before. I remember he has these invites to view sort of live playing and that sort of thing, which is really cool thing to have. Really cool. I'm going to cut this out right now and start this camera again that only records 20 minutes. And we're back with pipes on crap guitars. Now, like I was sort of saying with PT's adventure in finding just one guitar and sticking with that, you know what? Thank goodness there are cheap guitars out there. Thank goodness there's an array and a variety of instruments and accessories that cater to all sort of price ranges. Because to be quite honest, not everyone can afford it. And everyone deserves the right to play. Everybody. It doesn't matter how much of a douchebag you think you are, you deserve to learn to play guitar. And you know what? Not everyone can afford these expensive guitars. And certainly not everyone can afford half of the gear that we have. Now, we're just the average working men, I guess, and women. Some of us. I don't have a lot of cash or anything like that. And it might look like I do. I mean, you see on this side, look at all the 2 rows of pedals lined up. Rack unit, another rack unit here, that Black Star amp, which is stupidly overpriced in my opinion. Sounds good though. I've got another amp in the other room. I've had other cheap amps, got 4 nice guitars on the walls, this acoustic paneling, but I made it myself. And yeah, a nice big desk and everything like that. But that's all over time. That's all over time, and that's like what the hosts have said. That is a lot to do with, well, this is what I want, but I'm going to buy the cheapest of what I can get, of what I want, sort of thing. Same deal. I use Behringer monitors and that sort of thing. I want some KRKs, which are another cheap monitor, so I do like the sounding a little bit more low end and that sort of thing, which in a little room may not be all that good, but it kind of, I don't like tinny sounding speakers, even if they are reference monitors. But anyway, yeah, I mean, it's built up over time. But you know what? If you're happy with getting a cheap guitar and just modifying it, if that's what you like, then by all means go for it. Like you're saying, that Warlock that Pipes was bidding on, yeah, it might be the bottom of the range one, but if you're happy with it and you're happy to tinker around with the circuit of the guitar, change the pickups here and there, that's cool. There is a certain point where some guitars, there's just nothing else you can do with them. I did that with my first guitar. It was a copy of a Stratocaster. It was a terrible copy. Terrible. I think it was $300 or something like that. Actually, I think it was $200 back in the 90s. Well, early 2000s, I should realize. No, late 90s. And yeah, that guitar was rubbish. And I did the same thing. I pulled the pickguard off. I put a different pickup in there, changed all the electronics. played around with it. I think I got a new nut for it, a better nut and things. But you know what? At the end of the day, it just wasn't getting any better than what it was. It just wasn't made very well. But these days, you can get really well-made guitars. Even the Squires, like, yeah, I mean, I just don't like when people call a Squire a Fender. But compared to when I was a teenager and I was looking at Squires, like, they were rubbish back then. They were real crap. You know, they had some good ones, but they were, you know, $500 and that sort of thing. No, they were alright, but there were better guitars out there to buy for that type of money. And the cheap ones like the Bullets and that sort of thing, oh, geez, what a terrible thing to learn on, you know. But these days, they're a lot better quality control, a lot more effort. If you buy a cheap Squire these days, you know, some of them are really good guitars. Now, Epiphones have always been pretty good guitars from what I've seen, but they're not that cheap here. They're sort of still mid-range price guitars, and I'm not really too sure about other brands. Now, Ibanez guitars, some of their starter packs, they're pretty good. Real solid guitar to start on and that sort of thing. So if you're happy with that, that's great. You know, because I believe, yeah, like, not everyone can afford things. That's like pedals. Everyone's like, I have to have boutique pedals. I have to have the best expensive thing because some idiot wrote it on a forum. I have to because I see Pro Guitar Shop loading up another video. You know what? If you're happy with you're happy with Behringer pedals, if you're happy with I don't know, Australia Legacy pedals, the really cheap ones, if they got the tone you like, and that's it. There's nothing wrong with that. And take it from me, someone who knows about circuits, how to build pedals and that sort of things. You're not really getting anything too much better than you are from mass-produced pedals. To be quite honest, you're getting one dude. You're paying a lot of labor for them to do it. You're paying inflation on components because they're not buying in enough bulk. Yeah, and you're paying for that hand touch. But what you are paying for, which is up there, which is a bonus, is you're paying for someone that's painstakingly sat there and tweaked their tone stack, tweaked this component here and there to make sure that you don't have any strange spikes in the frequency and that sort of thing. Where with mass-produced pedals, they're sort of like, yep, this does what it does. It's got to be sort of in the borderline because people use with different pickups and that sort of thing, and we'll go from there. There you go, done. So, you know, they run it as a business. And of course, a lot of them try to make a fantastic tone, but corporations, they want to push, get it out there, sort of thing. Whereas if you go to small boutique builders, that's their life. They'll sit there for months, years tweaking circuits. But is it really worth it? Well, that's up to you. If it's worth it to you, then by all means it's worth it. If it's not worth it to you, then you don't have to do it. Don't worry. One thing I have a bit of an obsession with cheap stuff are those Joyo pedals. I've got my eye on one of those Ultimate Drive pedals. It's $40 and free shipping. $40. I can't make a pedal for $40. I can't buy the components for $40. You know, let alone ship one. If I ship a pedal to the States, it's $30 for regular air freight. And if it goes missing or it's damaged, too bad. There's no insurance on that or anything. $40 shipped to Australia. Like that is insane. And I think, you know, I'm listening to some of the clips on the tube, and you know what, I think it's worth it. I think it's a great sounding pedal. I've listened to a few of their others, and you know what? They're cheap. They're cheap, so why not do it? Why not? For someone like me, yeah, if it breaks, I'll bloody well fix it. So yeah, that's just what it is, you know. I just forgot my little list here. Talking about cheap gear. So I wanted a playing out guitar. I want to get guitar lessons again, you know, when you know, money and all that sort of thing is a bit more settled and that sort of stuff. So I wanted a playing out guitar. I don't really have a problem with taking my guitars out, but to be quite honest, I hate carrying a hard case. It's just a pain in the ass. It really is. They're so heavy, and you got to walk all the time with them, and then when I put it on my car, it scratches my leather and that sort of thing. So I wanted a playing out guitar. So I wanted a guitar I could put in my soft case that didn't have a headstock that's tilted back. Now, they're my favorite headstocks. I don't really like the Fender's straight headstocks, but we all know you can't put a tilted back headstock in a case, in a soft case, because then you put a lot of pressure on it and so forth. So I had all my guitars like that. So I wanted playing out guitars thinking, I'll just get something cheap. And you know what I had my heart set on until I played it? And not because it didn't play well. A Yamaha Pacifica, you know, the cheaper ones, I think they're like $350. And I was going to get that. I was going to rip the pick guard out, put better pickups in it, you know, change it to how I like it, that sort of thing. So I had my heart set on it. I saw one in the shop, and I went to have a look. It's like I got pretty excited. I played it, and it plays nice playing guitar, but I just didn't quite like the neck profile. I didn't like the smaller frets on it. So they had it's got a bit of a thicker V-style neck. From what I saw, more of a vintage feeling neck. It had a flatter fretboard, bit of a thinner or modern C-shaped neck, and bigger frets, and I would have bought it. I would have bought that guitar, and I would have been quite happy with it. Would have bought it, modded it, and that's it. It would be pretty damn cool. So I completely understand, but then on the other extreme, we all want a really nice, expensive guitar, don't we? Because gas gets the better of you, and you cannot help that. You cannot help that if you're a guitar player. You cannot, no matter how good or bad you are. You know, it takes over your life. People always say to me, you know, oh, your hobby's guitar. So, you know, it's not really a hobby. It's an obsession. It's a lifestyle. That's all I do. That's what I spend my money on, music-related things. Really, I don't really have any other interests or hobbies at all. You know, I used to be really into motorbikes, but it was really expensive, and and an acquaintance of mine ended up in a really bad accident, so it kind of just put me off for a little while. But they cost a fortune to maintain, you know. But even when I was into bikes, I was still into music. You know, you're always looking up things. When you're on the internet, you just look up gear, you look up gear reviews, you look up lessons. You're obsessed with a guitar forum and that sort of thing. It's a lifestyle more than a hobby, especially for us members of the Bliss. Yeah, so I'll get on to one more thing about what Pipes said. Pipes talked about, would you mod your guitar? Do you like to spend the time tinkering around, you know, changing it up, making it what you like, or do you like to just buy the guitar done and play it? I think there are two types of people out there. You've got the people that are way too curious and dig deeper within how things work. Much like me. All my guitars are modified, except for the Benford, because it doesn't get any more modified than that. All of them. I've changed the pickups in all of them, the pots, electricals, output jacks, everything like that. On my acoustic guitar, first thing I did when I bought it is I got rid of the crappy Ibanez tuners and I bought Grover Rotomatics 18:1 gear ratios. And that's a mod. It's a mod. They're really, really nice tuners. Really recommend them. Got them on the Benford. And that's just what I like to do. Always change the strap buttons and strap locks. Always change the electronics on my electrics and things like that to, you know, better quality, smoother feeling pots and that sort of thing. Always do it. Which brings me to the next thing. Pedals. Some of us will just accept that's the way it sounds. Some of us will just get someone else to mod an existing pedal because we want it to sound a little different, to work with our gear a bit better. And then some of us take it to the next extreme level. Some of us take it to building our own from scratch. And in saying that, sometimes I wish I didn't put so much effort into making effects and, you know, tinker around with things, and I put more effort into playing guitar because I'm not a very good guitar player. Hell, I can tell you what the circuit's doing, but I cannot tell you what the hell's going on with the guitar. I used to be a trained musician when I was a kid. So anyway, that's all gone out in one ear and out the other. My point is, like Pipe said, you're going to get, or as a PT, you'll get obsessed with building and building and building on cheaper things or guitars and constantly modding things, or you could have one that would just do what you wanted to do from the get-go, spend a little bit more money. And a good example of getting obsessed with modding and building things is this pedal right here. I don't know if anyone remembers, but you can see two switches on there. It didn't have 2 switches before. This is a Patriot fuzz that I built based on a silicon fuzz face circuit. The issues I was having with the pedal. Now I made it, it worked fine and everything. You know, it was a silicon fuzz, it was fuzzy, but I play humbuckers. And yeah, I put an impedance matching control in there to, you know, try to make it work and everything, but it's not the same. It's not the same as using a single coil with it, that sort of thing. So I really wasn't getting the tone I wanted out of it. And it wasn't as dynamic as it should be, because I have high output humbuckers and things like that, but I love the oomph of the pickups that I use. So what did I do? I completely ripped out the guts of this. Completely ripped out the guts. So here's a picture of the before shot, and here's a picture of the after. You might think that's a little bit messy, but when you make things for yourself, you don't care. When you make things for other people that buy things off you, they're damn clean, the wiring jobs that you do. And so what I did with this pedal here is I went from a fuzz face circuit to a big muff circuit. And I actually purchased the circuit board from a website because I couldn't be bothered doing my own, because I just can't do it with perf board or Vera board to make it small to fit in the enclosure properly. I could, but it's a lot of effort, and you know, just wanted to make the thing. So I outsourced a board, surprise, surprise. And you know, I don't etch my own boards. It's too much trouble and too expensive, and you don't want to get stuff in your hands. So I changed it to a big muff circuit. Now, with the amount of money I spent on this thing, I could have went out and bought a big muff on eBay. You know, but I wanted it to be my pedal. I wanted it to do a certain thing that I wanted to do. I want to have that big muff sizzle. And yeah, so what did I do? I started tinkering again. I wasn't playing guitar, I'm playing the pedal, you know, and yeah, this thing is really versatile. But at the end of the day, I could have just went out and bought a big muff and just played from there. It's really not that different from all the mods I've done to this thing, you know. Yeah, I'll explain the mods to this. So you got your fuzz knob, you have your mid-frequency scoop to flat control, change the mids of it, tone control to bass and treble, and your volume control. 2 switches on it. One of the switches does what does it do? One pulls the tone circuit completely out of it, which isn't really to my likings. Maybe you play single coils, would be nice. There's a lot of bass going on there. And then the other switch is a 3-way toggle switch, which switches between different clipping stages in the first clipping stage. What makes a big muff circuit really unique is it's kind of like 2 soft clipping stages cascading into each other. And then so it turns into hard clipping. It's a really interesting circuit. So that switches between, I had it going with germaniums, then LEDs, silicons, asymmetrical, symmetrical, and then I settled on going from just symmetrical silicon to no clippers in the first stage, to LED with asymmetrical silicon, so it combines as asymmetrical, and clipping end. That's my absolute favorite tone. So, but what I'm saying is, it's not a huge variation, but I spent all that time tinkering when I could have just went out and bought the real thing. So I understand, but some of us like pipes, like to mod, like to change, and some of us, like other people, whoever you are out there, like to play. You don't care how anything works. You just want it to sound that way, and you're not going to go around and look at a guitar and say, you know what, yeah, I like the guitar, but I know I'm going to change the pickups. That's what I do. I couldn't give a crap what pickups are in the guitar, because I know I can change it. It's easy, you know. It's easy to change it. Might cost you a few extra dollars, but get what you want. And then there's some people that'll go out there and say, you know what, this is what I'm going to buy. I'm not thinking about changing pickups. I'm going to play it. To them, they play it. That's how it sounds. End of story. It's not going to sound any different. That's the be-all, end-all of that guitar, and they're happy with that. Whereas high-end, low-end, mid-range guitar doesn't matter. But there are people like, I guess, Pipes and I, who look at something and go, yeah, I like that, but I like it better once I modify it myself. Or you look at me, which is even worse. I look at a pedal and go, oh, I've heard about those, read that, but you know what? If I change this on it, like people say, you know, if I mod this, I haven't even bought the thing yet. You know, I did that with a Crybaby. Fair enough, it sounded like rubbish when I got it, but intention, I bought the pedal with the intention of modding it. Bought it second hand for $100. Second hand. So, anyway. So pipes, yeah. I understand. I would be more than happy, though, with a cheaper guitar that I modify myself, because you do make it your own. And if it plays really well, holds tune, why not? Why not do it? So yeah, I mean, that's it. And I was thinking about buying a couple of cheap guitars because they were cheap. Only because they were cheap. There's the phone again. Only because those guitars were cheap. Because the music store, Allen's / Billy Hyde's, are all closing down, and you know there was one that I really wish I bought. There's a thin line Telecaster, the one with the humbuckers in it, natural finish, neck profile. Yeah, it had the 7.5-inch radius neck profile, which I'm not a big fan of. I mean, it feels good and everything, but it's I don't know what it is. Like, I like it, but then I don't like it at the same time. You know, it's really comfortable for chording and doing like fingerstyle stuff, but or intricate sort of work. So, because to be quite honest, those Ibanez guitars aren't great for that. I can do it all on them, but yeah, the flat fretboard just isn't really made for that sort of stuff. So yeah, like I was going to buy it just because they were cheap. Now this is a Fender. It wasn't a Squire or anything like that. I think it was $700. No, it had it for just over 50% off, or it must be more than 50% off here in Australia. But yeah, so I was going there every day, you know, but I was only going to buy it because it was cheap. So you know what, if I don't like the sound, I'll mod it and I'll change it. So I completely understand pipes, and that's where I'm coming from. I really hope this little rant of mine made sense. But yeah, there are two types of people out there, to recap. There are people that just play the gear, accept for what it is, and then there are people that are too obsessed and change whatever they can to make it suit them. They personalize it, but if you end up like me, and you look at these things behind me on the rack there at the bottom, on that shelf, it's just too far that you take it sometimes. So yeah, I guess the trade-off is there's that phone again. Alright, I'm back. I didn't even take that out of my ear. I'm just going to stop making this video because the phone's just going to ring too much, and it's going to ring again actually quite soon. So guys, but I guess I was saying, the trade-off is you get a lot of knowledge about how things work in with your instruments and accessories and that sort of thing if you're a modding type of person or obsessed with tinkering around too much. But at the end of the day, if you just want to get up and play, then your musical skills will be far superior than to some of the rest of us that spend too much time with the soldering iron. But anyway, guys, the outro song, cool song for Halloween from Scotty there. I really like that song. It's pretty cool. But I did hear the outtakes at the end as well. That was pretty funny. So guys, anyway, sorry this one again was a bit more of a ramble on, but sometimes that's just the way the cookie crumbles. Or should I say, that's just the way the string vibrates. So guys, anyway, can't wait for the next episode, and bliss on everyone.